In this video, we'll take a look at how to start the services that you need in the XAMPP control panel so that you can have a web server to run your programs against. We'll also be looking at the NetBeans IDE, specifically the homework assignment for Chapter 2, the Exercise 1. So let's get started. The XAMPP control panel icon or shortcut is on your desktop. If not, then it's under your Start menu. You should find it under All Programs, XAMPP Windows, Control Panel. Either way, once you bring it up, there are four services that we're interested in, but for this particular part of the exercise, we only want two of them to be running. The Apache service, which is the web server that will take the PHP pages and HTML documents and render them according to your request, and MySQL, which is the database server. If they're not already started, click the Start button on both of them, and if everything goes well, you should see the running icon or running words come up here, and down here in the log it should say Apache started. MySQL the same way. Click Start, and it should eventually say running, and again MySQL started. Okay, we no longer need the control panel, so let's just minimize that out of the way. Now let's fire up the NetBeans IDE. Before we do this, let me make sure that I have installed the student files for the textbook. Those are available for download on the website. They come down in a file that looks like this, phps_allfiles.exe. When you download that file, double click it and run it, and by default it's going to point to a directory on your C drive, folder XAMPP, subfolder htdocs. This is the folder that you want to unzip the contents of your student files into. htdocs under the XAMPP folder is what will become the root of your web server, and we'll talk about that later. So anyway, click unzip. Several files will be unzipped, a little over 1300. Click OK and close, and go to your NetBeans IDE shortcut. Double click, and one of the first things that you're going to want to do in the NetBeans IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, is to create a project. When you open your NetBeans IDE, you should see an empty workspace. One of the first things you want to do is create a project. So we want to run up here and click File and click New Project. We want to create a PHP project, so whichever one of these may be highlighted, click PHP. And for this particular book, since they've provided us some source files to begin with, we would want to choose a PHP application with existing sources or using existing sources. If we were going to create a blank application, we would just say PHP. Let's go ahead and use existing sources and click Next. Click Browse and go to that your C drive. In my case, I'm already there, but to show you where to go to My Computer, C drive, XAMPP, htdocs, and then click Open. Once you do that, take all the defaults and click Next. We will be running on a local website on this machine. This will be our default path, which will be localhost htdocs, and click Finish. Okay, if the index.php file opens, just go ahead and close it out. Okay, starting in Chapter 2, we're going to look at the exercise 1. So if you want to refer to that, it's right at the end of Chapter 2. I'll be drawing a lot of source from pages 81 and 83 for the two files that make up this project. So the first thing we do is go into the Starts folder. The Starts folder is provided by the book to give you a beginning or a start of each program and each lab that you work on, so that you don't work completely from scratch. So we go into the Exercise Starts folder, the Chapter 2 Exercise 1, click Open, and you'll find an index.html and a display discount PHP. You can resize this a little bit if you'd like. So we're going to open the index.html, and you'll notice it's pretty straightforward HTML code that we will look at in a little more detail. So once you get this document open, let's talk a little bit about what you can do within what the IDE does for you. You can click on up here on the toolbar it says Run Project, so click Run, and it immediately fills in the correct URL and runs the page or executes the page, which in this case is Product Discount Calculator. If we click the button, we go to the next page, which is the Display Discount PHP, and it says it's under construction. This is where you come in and start making some changes. So we're going to close the browser for the moment. So if you're familiar with HTML, this should look pretty straightforward, but let's go over some points anyway. All HTML documents start with HTML, the HTML tag. There may be a few parameters within the tag, but HTML is the front. Most of the time there's a head section which always has a beginning tag and an ending tag. Some HTML tags are closed with the name of the tag / in front. Then the main body of the HTML document is here. The heading 1 product discount calculator is displayed. Then we have 3 input boxes, all of type text. And then we have a button. It's the type of button is called submit, and its label is calculate discount. So if you would like, and then there's the end of the form, and all these things are inside of a form. So if you click run again, and you run as many times as you want, you see how it gets rendered. There's your 3 input boxes, there's your header, and your button. Notice on the button that it is set, the action when you post this back to the web server is going to, and the action is to invoke a PHP document called Display Discount PHP. Well, if you look over here, you have a document called Display Discount PHP. So if we open that, by double clicking it brings it up in edit, and you're in a tabbed environment. You see that now right at the top of this is a title called Product Discount Calculator. Again, if we go back to index.html and run it, click Calculate Discount, and it says this page is under construction. Well, look down inside this document, and one of the first things it says is this page is under construction. So that's where it's pulling this information from. The second part of the video will actually make changes to the document so that you can see how the first exercise would be completed.